Good morning, Tuesday.
Whoa.
Where's the locomotive to say that? Or good morning, Belgium, or whatever he's going to say.
Every time Dad's
you're
like,
pointing at yourself
Kevin?
with the locomotive.
Where's the locomotive?
Oh,
what's the issue here?
it's going to be a temporary train.
Well, I mean, when you have the highest rated show ever on the history of LOCPOD, all of a sudden you become a very good replacement locomotive.
I noticed we didn't have Jeff back.
No, well, I mean, yeah.
That goes to another issue with the backpack. We'll get to that in a minute. But
we only employ people who
Tom
can
made
read.
a great point. Yes. Tom made a great point on that. If you don't even know what the name of the show is, that's an issue.
It's an issue.
Yeah.
And telling me that giving me a backpack that was going to be filled with paper and sheets as I was going out of the plane, that's an issue.
I still wake up in the middle of the night laughing at that because I think right before you're about to go to your death, he's going to break your spirit also. Like, it's like he killed you two different ways.
Yeah. I told him the afterlife's going to be real bad for Jeff Long.
It's impossible to do, but Jeff figured out a way to make a falling death worse.
I still think Tom, with you guys interlocking with each other in an embrace on the way down, was my best visual on that. But anyway, welcome to LockPod. We've got Phil Taillon in the house. Of course, did a phenomenal job last Tuesday without the locomotive and me there. But we've also got Matt Reardon coming in a little bit. John, you told us this is we're now in low latency test period. Is that right?
Low latency LockPod.
Can anyone explain what that is?
Well, we're trying something out today, chat. So you should be getting our feed more closer to real time so that you can chat with us in real time versus hearing something we said 30 seconds ago and typing about it.
So when I'm responding to someone, it's not going to be necessarily like a minute later.
No.
It's going to be real time.
It'll be like 15 seconds.
Test us out. Test out the low latency LockPod.
Well, the typing response, that's real time always, Kevin.
Gotcha.
I'm talking about the video feed that our wonderful audience is getting.
So
Should be
we
closer
say
to real
stuff
time.
and then they hear it like a minute later.
So
but
this,
now it's
this technical talk's definitely gonna drive viewership.
All I'm thinking right now is if Jeff was here, he would not have been able to pronounce latency.
He would also say
Electronical.
LLOCPOD.
He would have spelled out latency. He's like, we're doing low LATENCIE.
that's a Y.
Wait, that was a joke, Linz.
I thought
though.
you were just inept.
Hey,
so.
no, I made spelling bee champ Kenwood Elementary School.
I'm sorry, I didn't know I was speaking to a champion.
8th grade, I actually made it to, I think it was the Times. The Hammond Times spelling bee. A little known fact, I was the first person out.
What?
Yeah.
Last in, first out. Isn't that an accounting?
Probably it. I probably was the last one, too.
LIFO.
They're like, is there anybody else that can spell the word chimney? I think that's what I spelled, actually.
And you missed it?
No, I
that was your winner?
I spelled that one to get in, yeah.
That's a tough one, John. That was
Whatever.
Is there an E in that?
That's incredibly
there
impressive.
Is an E. Yeah.
There is an E in chimney.
Yeah.
Oh, Steve, you're right. We could add another L to it, LAN. So low latency LockPod LAN family.
Wow. Spell that and say that 10 times.
Yeah.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what's going on at your house this morning? And why? Because this kills me. Because what we were talking about. So what we were talking about this morning is you want to talk about like Murphy's Law or whatever happens. This is exactly what happened to John Vesmar, our wonderful producer this morning.
So we have a new bed coming between 8 and noon.
Always
right?
a big day.
Nice
New
4-hour window. Oh yeah, this is huge.
Big deal at the Vesmar house.
Yeah, it's exciting. So I said, Amy, if you could just stay there till 8:30. I mean, I'll be there right after the podcast. What are the chances they show up?
Well, always
within
none, right?
The first 30 minutes. Never.
Usually it's 8 to noon. They get there at 2.
Yes, exactly. So right before the intro song ended, I get a text. They're 30 minutes away.
Of course.
So good luck over there.
I hope they don't need help, carrying the big new king-size bed up the stairs.
It's supposed to be white glove delivery, man.
Whoa.
LockPod viewers.
I'm sure it will be, John.
Can we have like 10 LockPod viewers go to John's house right now?
And help Amy?
Yes.
Get the bed in?
Can anyone help? Maybe who's a big, strong LockPod viewer?
Jeff Long?
Oh,
no,
yeah.
he doesn't watch.
Or
Kelly Mickey.
Smith. Jack.
Yes, Jack Smith.
Jack, head over to my house, please.
John, I've got a serious question. Be honest. Did you order your pillows from the MyPillow guy for your new bed?
Thank you.
No,
God.
I haven't ordered
I
new
have faith
pillows
in
yet.
you now, John. Thank you.
Just
The pillows
checking.
suck.
I'm just
But he
checking.
does make a convincing case.
Before we get Matt Reardon in here, we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. We've got like a peaceful protest talk coming up later. We're going to talk about Matt Gaetz and Liz Cheney. And we're going to talk about some other things around the region, by the way, that are just a little depressing, but we're going to talk about them.
Well, there's some positive stuff too, Kevin. We're not
always
all
positive stuff, but
just
we had a couple of weird bummer things happen over the weekend.
that's
But
true.
Lindsey, you want to do your spiel? We'll do ads, and then we'll get into it a little bit.
Wait.
Oh, John.
Doty's saying, for some reason, the iPhone and iPad sound is different. What does that mean, Doty?
All right, Doty,
expand on that.
Keep chatting. So the low latency. Yeah. Here we go.
This is a low latency experiment. We need to know what you mean. Okay,
Lindsey,
ready.
The notorious LMP.
Here comes a Lindsey cam.
Oh God, do you guys like my Darth Vader shirt?
I was going to ask you, what concert was that?
It's not a concert.
What concert?
It's Darth Vader, and it says it's just asthma.
She said she was going to wear concert shirts.
Oh.
Yeah, well, it's laundry day today.
That's okay.
So. But
it's bed day at John's house. It's no locomotive day here on the pod, and it's laundry day at the Perosco home.
Exactly.
It's like an off show.
You know what?
Just
by saying that, you've cursed us. So thanks a lot.
Way to go, Phil.
Why don't you just keep the mouth shut?
We can blame you.
Can't believe you jinxed us.
LMP is salty today.
Yeah, she is.
She's going tell
after you
a riveting story about how I have asthma, and that makes me love this shirt so much. But you know what? I'm just going to go right through it because you ruined it.
What does the shirt say?
We lost 4 viewers when you said asthma.
I have bad lungs. All right, you're listening to Left of Center, where we cover everything from important events of the day in the news in the Midwest and the nation, all while having way too much fun while doing it. If you can't listen in live, you can always if you can't get enough of us, follow us on Facebook at Left of Center Podcast or on Twitter at LockPod, LOCPOD. And if you can't listen in live, you can download our episodes from the Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Stitcher apps. Just search Left of Center Podcast and look for our red and blue logo. Don't forget to subscribe and rate on every single one of those applications, please. And if you would like to start some advertisements, which we're about to delve into, you can send an email to steve@lockpod.com.
Saw Steve on ABC TV yesterday.
I know. He's doing a good job.
I mean, it's not, we know why he was on, obviously. It was just weird to not, all of a sudden, Steve's on your TV screen.
Right. It shocked me. We were pre-showing.
Yeah.
And I looked up, and there's Steve Kellogg at True Barbecue. One of our former sponsors.
It threw us off, for sure.
It did throw us off.
We're like, whoa, there's Steve. So we're doing sponsors
Let's
right
do
now?
it.
You guys
Talk
have come
about
a long way, by the way. I'm looking at the technology today and what is here now compared to 2.5 seasons ago.
2 episodes ago when you were on?
Exactly.
They've upgraded.
When everything was done by paper
and
pencil.
One more camera and one more screen.
It's big time.
We had stone tablets.
Now we have whiteboards.
When I first came here, everything was run by a Commodore 64. and now you have real things.
Now we're an Apple IIc.
Posted on Facebook with a printing press.
Yeah.
All right. Powering America is Northwest Indiana's source for a trusted electronical professional. Yeah, I went there, Jeff. Sorry, buddy. If you are a developer looking for a large-scale electrical contractor, Powering America can help take the guesswork out of finding a professional you can trust. Their select network of electrical contractors are committed to employing local electricians that have successfully completed a certified apprenticeship training program registered with the Indiana Department of Labor. All employees are held to a high standard of professionalism, expertise, and knowledge, and all of their contractors are licensed, bonded, and insured. If you'd like more information about your electrical needs, visit Powering America today at CertifiedElectrician.com.
And Doty Russell, we just heard from on the chat. Big, and thanks
She's
to Doty.
Awesome.
That is the Certified Electrician People.
Love Doty.
.com.
She's amazing. Is there anyone quite like Doty?
No.
Yeah.
No. Saw her last week. She's always doing something positive.
She's a ball of fire.
She is. You know what? You're right.
Yes.
Force of nature.
Ball of fire.
When you see her, just get ready.
Bobby knows this.
Yeah, Bobby knows. For sure.
Tri Electronics wants to be your complete communications provider. Tri Electronics has been a leader in this industry for more than 55 years and can provide your business end-to-end communications solutions. For more information, call Tri Electronics today at 800-722-6793 and tell them LockPod sent you.
Byway Brewing is a family-friendly microbrewery with a spacious tap room and outside patio perfect for enjoying its finely crafted ales, lagers, and chef-driven food. Brewing equipment on our production side offers a unique backdrop for your private event like bridal and baby showers, reunions, and corporate events. Conveniently located just off 8094 and the Kennedy Avenue South exit, come on by and enjoy Byway's award-winning beers and unbeatable menu.
You like it there.
That's one of my top favorite breweries in Hammond. There's a tie.
Ty.
Just so you know.
Sure.
It's between
There's
18th Street
two
and
breweries in Hammond.
It's not true.
Who knows how many are doing it in their basement?
There's Sour Note. Don't forget about Sour Note Brewery.
Don't forget them.
Aren't they just affiliated with 18th Street, though? So
Kind of. But they're a close second to the Tide.
Tortillas Nuevo Leon is the gold standard of Mexican cuisine throughout the Midwest. Martinez's model for success has always been responsive customer service, great tasting products with an authentic Mexican taste, and high-quality standards. Look for Tortillas Nuevo Leon's popular red and white label at your local grocery store and enjoy quality Mexican products made with local expertise.
Grizzolia's Concrete was voted #1 in the Times Best of the Region 2020 and specializes in all your concrete projects. Grizzolia's has been using the original cement finish in California style since 1972
Wow, you did that.
and also offers
bad
stamped
voice.
and colored concrete. For more information
Better
or a
than
project
Dad's.
quote, call Grizzolia's
I was thinking the same thing, Linz.
at 219-659-4127.
You're trying to like say I'm the locomotive. Listen to how I sing
You know
California
what, Tom?
style.
Wherever you're at, just stay there.
Just relax.
Everything's fine. At home, we're covered. Okay?
we're good.
You know, Linz, you were mentioning something before we got on, and we mentioned
Yes.
Steve Kellogg.
So I noticed that a lot of people have been trying to get the word out, and I thought it'd be a good reason or a good way to get the word out with our
Because we have
lovely
such
platform
a wide platform
with a
many
very
people
devoted
listening.
followers. And so what they're doing is for the boy who's missing, the 12-year-old boy who's gone missing here in this area, they're doing a search, and they're asking people who live within, last I heard was 3 miles, but I'm going to extend that radius to 5 miles. If you have a Ring camera or you have surveillance cameras on your property, you need to go back and look through the last couple of days to see if you were able to pick up anything that is imperative to the investigation and locating the boy so we can get him back to his family.
Yeah, this has been tough, I think, for our area. I mean, obviously they've been doing 24/7 searching.
Yeah,
but
now they're dusk to dawn.
Dusk to dawn, and they've tried. They've pulled out all resources to try and find this kid, and it's unfortunate. I hope we still have a glimmer of hope that maybe he's okay.
Yeah, I mean, and just to give you an idea where Lindsey's talking about, 5 mile radius from where this happened would be basically Hessville. It'd be Black Oak. It'd be Griffith. It'd be Highland.
Mm-hmm.
So, and probably in parts of like Munster, North Munster and South Hammond. So,
especially if you have big, if you have like a large amount of property, lots of land, lots of trees or forested area, and you have cameras out there, check them.
yeah, check them, please. It would have been starting Friday or Saturday.
Yeah,
something
so
like
it's
that.
been about
That's
4
correct.
days.
Yeah.
I
All
went
right.
back through my Ring and I was looking to see if I caught anything.
So we're hoping for good news. You know, it's been a while, and we can only hope for the best at this point. And thanks to everybody. By the way, it's stuff like this I always think is a good thing when you had multiple police agencies, sheriff's department, obviously Hammond Fire and Police, Munster, Highland, other entities. It was and a lot of civilians went out looking.
The civilian response has been insane. Like I saw pictures of like the people who showed up to do like the door-to-door searches and like just knocking on doors, and there were like a couple hundred people there. It was incredible.
Not that this doesn't happen in other parts of the country, but this is what, when I think Midwest, this is people come together in these types of situations and
That's
so
why I
many
like
communities. I'm with you. And I think that we're all good people down deep. Just some people's
Most of us.
political stances, I'm looking at you, John, are a little different than others.
Well, I mean, the one thing I was going to say about that, though, is, politics is always put aside when stuff like that happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, community takes Trump's, that's probably a bad word, community takes precedence over politics generally.
I agree. And I think that's kind of, when you're an angsty teenager, you're like, I hate everything. I hate the place. I don't want to get, but like, I moved away.
I was like that last year.
Well, yeah,
I hate
but like,
everything when I was a teenager.
so like, I grew up here my whole life. I went away for
Wow.
school and I came back.
Sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And, whenever there's like a crisis or there's something serious happening in the region, what I really like about it is that everybody kind of just takes care of their own. It's no matter how different we are such an eclectic, weird group of people, and we protect our own. And I really, really like that a lot.
When times are tough, people come together.
100%.
That's a good sign about, Americans. That's how we are.
So what's Phil? You walked in with a mask today. I saw
did.
You're still masking. I generally have been masking and I've noticed like some businesses are, some businesses are not. We were at an event last week where it wasn't required, and that felt fine. I'm vaccinated. You're vaccinated, Lindsey.
I'm vaccinated.
We're still begging our friend John.
Mm-hmm.
John.
Hey, I'm here.
John's like, I'm just checking on the bed.
Yeah.
I saw this story. John, you have this up. Can
I'll
you
put
bring
it
this
up
up?
there.
I saw this story about a private school in Florida, founded by a anti-vaxxer from New York, told their teachers that they are not going to employ them if they've been vaccinated.
How would they know?
Well, good question.
Oh, wait, because of
HIPAA.
you, I read this article.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see what they're saying?
Yeah.
Why they don't want them vaccinated?
Go ahead.
They said employees that are vaccinated that are coming in, the unvaccinated employees, their menstrual cycles are being adjusted or changed because of the vaccinated employees. Like it's contagious almost.
Yeah, she said the founder lady by the name of Leela Center, stood by her decision Tuesday in a statement to send to the Associated Press, which featured the biologically impossible claim that unvaccinated women have experienced miscarriages and other reproductive problems just by standing in proximity to vaccinated people. So she let her employees know that had been vaccinated to stay separated from the students.
I mean, how do you even respond to something
Because
like
their
that?
students are pregnant?
We don't know what's going on with the students.
I can respect people who just at this point in their life, they're just choosing not to get vaccinated. I think it's the wrong decision. I think it's the wrong decision, but I can respect it. But
You just won't get 3 days off, John.
this is ludicrous.
Well, here's what I think about by the way, about the masks and stuff. I mean, the masks at some point, to me, it's time to go. I mean, at this point, if the vaccine is available, I would think everybody can say, I can get the vaccine somewhere. And if you've chosen not to get it, you've chosen not to get it. And that's fine. And that's your choice, I guess. I'd be more afraid of COVID than I would be of the vaccine personally, which is why I got the vaccine. Well, one of the reasons. But I would also say that it's time to just make that decision to go back to normal, I hope, and to say, it's like a bell curve. At some point, you got to just make your own decision and live with it. And if you get COVID and you didn't have the vaccine, I hope you get through it cleanly.
Yeah, people who said, this is going to change us for the rest of our lives, we're going to be wearing masks. I mean, obviously, if you think that through, that was never going to happen. But I'll tell you what, there's going to be instances where if I'm going to a certain location and there's a lot of public, I might still throw a mask
like
on.
the plane, like maybe in the winter, flu season. I don't know. I could still see people wearing it. Charlie, my youngest son, 16, got his yesterday. Got his first.
Mm-hmm.
So, John, where are you on the spectrum here? Are you like
Are you on the spectrum?
Not that spectrum.
No, Kevin. So we have this shared note chat, when we plan episodes.
Yep.
And for the longest time, we were planning this episode. Well, actually, this topic, this Florida school, this has been in our shared note for a while. We just haven't gotten around to it. And up until this moment, I always thought the title was Florida school won't employ unvaccinated teachers. So I am just like, this is wild stuff, man. I mean, to see this is really interesting. But I can't say I'm shocked. This is coming out of Florida, by the way.
Good point.
Yeah.
Florida
Medical freedom.
This reminds me of the line from Anchorman where they're trying to hire a female anchor and they're like, their menstrual cycle attracts bears. I mean, that's exactly what we're reading, except it's not a joke.
It's just an idiot.
John, have you wavered at all? I know you've been kind of nervous about it.
No, I'll be honest with you guys. I don't like the idea of getting COVID, and I may have already had it. I don't know, but I do hope that if I ever did get it, it's not severe like these cases you're hearing.
But you don't
about.
know.
But I'm also worried about the vaccine, and I don't. And there's a lot of people that are worried about the vaccine.
Oh, I agree.
And I'll be honest, I don't think Fauci and the CDC is really helping that so much. And you can say you're
like mixed messages or whatever.
There's a lot of mixed messages, guys. I mean, you can just go down the list from the start of this thing, and I just think people are worried about it. I don't think they're.
But I guess, and the way I think of it is, and I'm sure everybody, people think different, but you got to weigh the worry of the vaccine versus the worry of the disease,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
I mean, John, your neighbor passed away from it. It has hit you personally.
Yeah, and I also know people who have gotten the vaccine and got COVID after the vaccine.
And I think that's possible.
Or have gotten the vaccine and have gotten really sick from it and been hospitalized from it.
Yeah, but don't they say if you get the vaccine, the chances of you having a severe case is significantly decreased?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, well, people who have been getting COVID after getting the vaccine have usually just been getting cold symptoms.
They
it's
said
not nearly as severe.
They've been very clear that you can get COVID after getting vaccinated.
Sure.
It's a 5%
The Yankees
chance.
did.
And
Yeah, a lot of the Yankees.
And let me tell you
what
this.
is
Red
this?
Sox
So
fans
it's not a vaccine, all right? It's an inoculation.
In response to
It's the
No,
same
it's
thing.
not a vaccine.
Well, I mean-
it's gene therapy, really. It's not a vaccine.
Gene therapy sounds like weird, like conspiracy theorist language.
Technology is changing, John, so you can call it what you want. But let me just respond to the Fauci point. When you have somebody who's not a political person, I think what they're doing is they're giving you the best information that they have at the time. And it will change because new information will come in, just like we just received from the CDC saying now we don't have to wear masks when
It's
we're vaccinated.
definitely a fluid situation.
It is. So when you say, I think these guys don't know what they're talking about, I think they're taking the information they have at the time and trying to give out, the whatever they can to keep people safe. But when it does change, new information comes in, they have to tell you, okay, here's what we've recently found out and here's the latest. I don't think it's, okay, there was a Republican in the House, so I'm going to tell you this. Now there's a Democrat in the House, I'm going to tell you this. And I think that's where the people who watch some of these, right-wing or left-wing shows, they're hearing what they want to hear because, I think Dr. Fauci's trying to do the best he can for this country, but people are turning it into a political statement.
Well, in the end of the day, I wish it wasn't as political as people have made it out to be. Because, when I say to John, I want him to get vaccinated, I don't say it I say it out of a good spot. I don't say it out of a spot like, oh, John, I want you to get sick, right?
I agree, and I'm not. Maybe it sounds kind of attackish, but I'm talking about. I really think that it's not a political thing, but I think if you want to figure out or make it a political thing, you can. It's not hard to do. You can say, well, here's what they did, and here's the timing they did it, and here's what you could somehow justify whatever it is you believe. But I don't think it is with Dr. Fauci. I think he was honestly trying to make the best decisions he could at the time.
Yeah.
So what do you guys call it then when? Okay, so it was last week when we learned that the CDC said you can take your mask off now if you've been vaccinated. Now, hold on, Kevin.
Yeah.
A week prior to that, I watched Fauci myself say masks, I'm paraphrasing, masks are going to be a part of our long-term future.
Here, can I take this one?
Matter of fact, double mask.
Can I take this one,
And then a
John?
week later, take them off. What is going on, man?
Well, there's definitely some mixed messages. Right, there's
Joke?
definitely some. I think that CDC is not Fauci, right? We can agree with that. He's not a CDC guy, or I forget what his position is, but it's not with the CDC.
World Health Organization.
No, he's
isn't he?
No. He's I forget what he is.
Don't know.
Head of health officer of some place.
Yeah,
that's important.
He's a medical guy who knows this
He's
stuff.
a doctor.
But what I'm saying is that's just one example. I'm saying there's people out there. A lot of people are going, "This is crazy." These people don't know what they're talking about. I'm not taking this vaccine.
But John, so the answer is 3 studies were completed. And after the studies were completed, they now are telling you that based on the studies, so information, science, facts, they believe you can now remove the mask in certain situations if you're vaccinated. That's not a political statement. It's the studies were completed. When Dr. Fauci said you should keep your mask on, again, at the time, he probably truly believed that is the best thing to share with people to keep them safe and healthy.
Well, then tell Fauci to shut up. That the test.
No,
tell him that the test you're talking about will be done in a week. Fauci, just don't comment on the mask for a week.
Well, because people can die in a week.
He's got a stage. And
people can die. A lot of people died that week. Actually, I'm sure. If you look back,
trust
I'm sure
me. Fauci has a great history with the mask commentary. He said at the beginning, masks don't work. Then they do work. Then
John,
double
in the
mask.
beginning, it's fluid. It can't be like Fauci's an idiot just because he said, things that were.
I do believe Fauci's an idiot, but whatever.
Well, okay,
All right.
so there's this thing called
We're never going to agree on that.
There's this thing called the scientific method, and when we discover a
Lindsey, the
brand
nurse.
new when we discover a brand new illness, we don't know anything about it, right? It is a learning process.
We're all learning together
It is
on COVID.
an incredibly slow learning process where you create a hypothesis and then you observe and then you experiment. And based on the results of that experiment, you create a new theory or a hypothesis and you reframe and you figure it out until you've figured it out. That's what he's doing. That's what I've observed is that he is noting scientists are noticing certain trends. And so to be safe, they say, be extra careful, make sure you're wiping down your groceries. And then they realize that this brand new illness that we have never seen before can't be transmitted for a long period of time on a surface. So they said, you don't have to do that anymore. But it's airborne. If you cough it, wear a mask. But now you're vaccinated and it's protecting enough people. And now they're saying, okay, based on these observations, guess what? We now know that masks you don't have to wear them if you don't want to. I'm going to keep wearing a mask because I have asthma and I haven't had a cold in 2 years.
Your shirt says it. The notorious LMP has spoken. Right. The one thing I think that has been consistent, though, John, is that the vaccine, and I'm going to call the vaccine, is has been effective against the spread of the virus. I mean, I think that goes without saying.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I don't think anybody has said, I don't think there's been any counterintuitive or, contrary commentary about the vaccine. It's been, get it, it's going to help to stop the spread, it's going to help you. And look who just came in, speaking of viruses and vaccines. And whoa, on the table, was that the cuss counter?
It's
in
just
advance.
in advance.
Hey.
He's like, here's an advance on the cuss counter.
This is going to be a rough show.
Yeah,
He just threw $6,000 on the table.
I can't wait to hear what Matt has to say about the vaccine.
here he comes. Put your headphones on. Get up to the table. Get
get
close
up there.
to Phil.
Welcome,
He's been
Matt
vaccinated.
Reardon.
Oh, I've been too.
Sorry,
doing,
Matt.
man?
I didn't get
Did
your
you get
text.
vaccinated?
I didn't get your text because I was too busy explaining the scientific method
To
these men.
to us men. She was.
I was
woman-splaining.
woman-splaining.
Thank you.
Now you realize that nobody heard anything of it. It's like a dog whistle. Nobody
Oh
heard
boy,
anything.
Lindsey. She's not going to like that.
Dog whistle. Me.
Nobody heard anything.
just
what you
shrill.
were saying.
Oh,
No,
wow.
no,
I did.
no. When
that
you were
was,
talking,
That was rude.
We heard you.
not just you personally. I was talking about women.
Oh wow, man,
And
that's
it's
a good way to
even
start out.
worse.
Whoa.
That's a good way to start the show.
Now we know
Welcome,
why he
Eric.
put $6,000 on the
Yeah,
table.
Right.
It answers a lot of questions.
Right.
Well, I am on the GOP side. So
Welcome
We're
back.
going to stick with all that.
Welcome back
Yeah.
to Lock LOCPOD.
It's good to be back. Who's in trouble? You guys got to go to court? Well, it must be you.
Oh, well, because we're
you're
both wearing
suited
Suited
suits.
up,
Suits,
yeah.
I-
We all have early appointments today, including John, but the mattress probably already arrived at John's.
I think I'm good. We can go till 10 o'clock now.
Nice.
That's important to get your mattress in.
It is.
Well, what brings you in today?
I don't know. I was first of all, I was bitching because I saw this. Hey, we're gonna have a cavalcade guest, and I threw it on the chat. I'm like, what? You guys lost my invitation or what?
You're here.
I know I am. Now.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's always fun to be here.
You know, I want to bring up. Go ahead. Were you going to bring up something?
No,
Phil?
I'm
All right.
waiting for you.
I got something. This is good because this is a. If you know about something about Matt Reardon, you know he's very active on Facebook and pretty. Let's just say he's not a shrinking violet on Facebook. Are you? No.
Shrinking
So
violet.
one of the is that the right?
I've never heard that term before.
Is that the right term? Did I mess that
I
up?
think you got it.
Anyway,
Okay.
I
So-
understand what you're trying to say.
thank you, Lindsey.
You're welcome.
If Matt had a dime every time he was called a shrinking violet, oh my God.
He'd have one
There'd be
dime.
$8,000.
there goes
$1,000
the,
in the
there goes the
lot more.
viewership.
Yeah.
But Matt, there was we've talked about this on the show with the mayor, and that is this whole idea about the waterfowl dying up near Lake Michigan, and how the mayor was just getting lambasted for it, like just by some environmental groups. And I mean, Phil, you saw it, I'm sure,
my
at City
gosh.
Hall. John, you saw it online on the chat and everything. But we had some news from the DNR.
Yeah, that was amazing. So, the mayor's not one to say, the buck doesn't stop with him. I mean, he's always pretty much steps up to the plate. But when he started talking about the waterfowl incidents, plural, and just said, I'm going to be blamed for this, for everything. So somebody puts
Birds die, I think he
birds
said.
die. Yeah, birds die. McDermott's fault. Guy makes left turn on red light. McDermott's fault, et cetera, et cetera. So the article comes out, and of course it follows what he says because he took the time to research, which said a lot of times birds get, parasites, and they get sick and they die. They also happen to congregate in Hammond in that area.
Yes.
So
especially right after the winter or cold weather.
exactly. So they're flying back, whatnot. So somebody puts all this shit on Facebook, and I said, well, yeah, it's clearly McDermott's fault. I heard it on Facebook. I'm like, what the fuck? Come on.
And they had remember the protest?
Oh, yes.
Oh, what was it called? Swan? Wasn't it Swan?
Yes.
Swan something?
Swan song? Our swan song?
That's how they spent a good part of their Saturday.
Was it nice out?
Blaming the mayor for all the terrible metals and everything
Hey,
else
next
in
time
the
that
soil.
anybody's going to do that shit, why don't you get garbage bags and pick up the shit along the highway? That'll be better off.
That's
Whoa.
that's a good idea.
Hey, you want to do something? Want to
ask
protest?
them.
Why don't you protest that? Pick
Here's
up shit on the highway.
Here's my favorite quote out of that, and this is from a USGS, which is the United States Geological Survey scientist, Julia Langton. The geese tested negative for bacterial and viral infections, lead poisoning, heavy metals, salt toxicity, botulism, and toxic organic compounds, and they tested negative for the bird flu. Wildlife disease investigations can be challenging, especially when multiple factors, including adverse weather conditions, may be involved. It's like they died.
You know what the sad part is,
there was
Kevin?
some death.
A week from now, you'll hear from the same people, and they're going to say the same stuff because that's just what they want to say, and it is what it is. They don't care about facts.
Facts don't matter.
They don't.
Speaking of facts, I heard
false news, fake news.
Speaking of facts, I heard you guys talking about vaccine, no vaccine, and all that. I didn't wear a mask in here because I got a vaccine, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, look, I fancy myself kind of smart about some things, but science is really out of my realm. So when somebody tells me, you got a better chance of not getting deathly ill if you do this, there's a pretty good chance I'm going to give it a shot.
It's pretty simple, right? It's pretty black and white.
I would think it is for most people.
It's not black and white, though, man.
Well, what's not black and white? John, or let me ask you this question, at least this part of it.
People are getting sick from the vaccine.
Okay, but they're not dying like they are from COVID.
Sure they are. There's been deaths from the vaccine.
110, 500,000.
2 people out of 20 million or 163 million.
Hey, man, the big lib mentality. If it saves one person, it's worth doing.
Well, I would say if it saves 163 million versus killing, 5. I mean,
every
vaccine in the history
I don't blame
mankind.
I don't blame anybody for getting the vaccine or not getting the vaccine. I get it. If you want to get the vaccine, get it. My problem is some of the things I'm hearing from the people who have been vaccinated are just like, oh, you anti-vax. I'm not anti-vaxxer.
Oh, I haven't said you are.
Yeah. I think most of us are saying we worried about people that don't get vaccinated because we believe in science and doctors. But at the same time,
see those kind of offhanded comments.
It's a personal choice. At the end of the day, it's a personal choice.
There's no being sad about saying that you believe in science or not. Either you're in or you're out. It's like
it could be a gray area, right? There's some gray involved.
I suppose if you're doing some type of controversial surgery, but I'm fairly conservative when it comes to financial issues and socially modern.
I don't know what you are anymore, man. I got to be honest.
But wait, I got to be honest. So wait, let me tell you where I'm coming
John's
from.
Like, I'm getting killed here.
Let me tell you, John, I can't really throw you too much of a lifeline on this one. This, to me, is it's out there. The government did its job. The shit's available. I don't care who gets credit for creating the vaccine, and both of them both presidents worked together to make sure it was available, which was
Operation
the key,
Warp Speed,
which helped get everybody to a point where I can walk into this place without a mask and look at somebody and say, well, I'm going to take federal guidance. So that's it. Now, if you want me to do this because it's your personal place and your business, then I'm going to listen to you. But first and foremost, I listen to businesses. And second, you know what? I'm all about people choosing what to do. But I would say this. If people get upset because they're being maligned for not wearing masks in places that businesses say so, or they don't get vaccines, which lead to not wearing masks and lead to other things like being able to go back to college and being able to go to vacation and being able to go to certain countries, fuck yeah.
That's opening
it's your choice.
You got to open things up. You got to, and regardless of vaccine or no vaccine, goes back to my initial point, which is it's time to get rid of the mask mandate. As soon as I think the month's over, I think it should be back to normal. And if you haven't got the vaccine, I think that's just the risk you're going to have to take. If you have, whatever, then hopefully you won't get it.
See, I think it should be more punitive. I think your insurance company should just not pay. You're like, you were dumb and didn't get the vaccine. We're not covering you. Imagine if they did that.
What an insane.
Because if you
isn't
have
it? To me, it's
insane thing to say.
Why is that any more insane that shit doesn't work and I'm going to get a third eye? It's not.
As John pointed out, though, that you can't get the vaccine. You can't get the virus after you've had the vaccine. That happens. So I think you still got.
What's the point? Tell me what the point is of this shot. You guys, you can get COVID after the vaccine, quote unquote vaccine.
Small percentage.
You can get sick taking the vaccine.
Percentage.
Now it's coming out. You have to get inoculated like every 6 months. And then up until recently, you still had to wear a mask.
You have to get the flu shot every year.
Yeah.
So you know what all this means to me as a business person?
It's called
that
flu vaccine,
I need
too.
to go ahead and get into some vaccine stock, John. That's what we need to be doing. Okay, we need to hedge our bets with. Everybody needs to. I think maybe if every 6 months
we can
is
all
good.
Agree.
What about every 3 months?
Profits will go up.
Sure.
Profits will go up every 3 months. I mean, come on.
All right. Let's get off vaccine and into something else.
Yep. Okay. Sorry, I veered back in.
That's all right.
I went back into that.
Couldn't help it.
My caption today was 2 Democrats, a progressive,
That's me.
a conservative, and a right-wing populist walk into a studio. But Matt,
What
I
are
gotta
you
say,
changing it?
I gotta change. I gotta take the conservative out soon.
Wow.
man. I don't know what you are at this
this
point.
is the Republican Party. If you're in the Republican
Oh,
Party,
good
but
point.
you disagree with a certain aspect
That's
of
what John's
of
trying to
this
do. He's trying to
Republican,
cancel you.
You're no longer a Republican in his eyes anymore.
John just canceled
Like,
Matt
yeah.
Reardon.
John's woke, and you're out, Matt.
Like Liz Cheney.
Let's go there.
There it is.
Right here,
Liz Cheney.
Down with the rhinos.
No,
Get 'em out.
Oh,
Get 'em
okay.
out.
Wait.
Get them out.
Oh, God.
John. Now
Go.
I respect your conservatism usually.
Yeah.
But you're saying Liz Cheney is not a Republican? Like,
Go.
where's Liz Cheney? Wow.
Yeah.
That
Okay,
is
listen,
crazy.
The
Okay.
only way we get
Like,
this
for me
country
to
back
say, like-
is more populist.
For me to feel
Girls are
listen,
fighting.
more. Trump wasn't populist enough. He said he was.
Oh,
Listen, he
my.
said he was, but he didn't get much done.
who's
I
your
love
guy?
it.
Who's your guy or gal?
I love
Who
it,
is it?
John.
Marjorie Taylor Greene?
DeSantis, baby.
DeSantis. John. Wait a
See,
minute.
so he's
So-
he's dangerous because he's actually papered. He
Did
went to
Caitlin
like
come in yet?
real college, and he won an election, and he's seen what you can do if you just ladle out populist bullshit to the toothless masses. They they slurp that up.
They love him in Florida.
They
He's
love
doing a
him
really
down
good
there.
job of that,
So
yeah.
I want to circle back to Cheney. Now, I'm reading this. I'm like, all right. So she's pretty conservative by
basically
by all measures, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
statistically, actually, familiar.
Remember when she ran?
Easy for
Remember
me
when
to
she
say.
ran on or no, she didn't run when she was her sister's in a same-sex
lesbian.
marriage, right?
Yeah.
She came out against
Right.
her sister.
Tough.
Said, "I love my sister, but
Tough Thanksgiving.
yeah, right." I
Hey,
mean, that was when she
hey,
ran.
lesbian, pass me the potatoes. Giving her the stink eye. So, look, Liz Cheney votes with Trump 93%
of the time. Yeah.
Elise Stefanik,
Stefanik, I don't want to
She
insult
voted-
the Stefaniaks around here.
47% of the time. So
Think about
I'm reading
that.
these statistics, and I'm thinking to myself, it only leads back to one thing. And John was joking, but not joking a little bit when he talked about populist and whatnot. So she says, look, this election wasn't bullshit. Let's just fucking move on. Right? Look, he lost.
And she gets pounded for it. It's almost like they're afraid. It goes to what you said, Phil. If you're not drinking the Kool-Aid, you're out. Get
not
out.
Kool-Aid.
Get out.
It's not cool. What are
Wait,
the
the
Democrats?
election? John, the election? Wait.
Say it, John. Let's hear it.
What are the Democrats so afraid of with the audit going on in
What's
Arizona
your
right
opinion
now?
on the
John,
election?
what does one audit in one state have anything to do with whether an election was fraudulent or not? I mean, think about that. We all know this, right? Elections are run by states, individual states. For there to be the election fraud that has been thrown out there by some people on the far right, it just is impossible
I
to
don't
happen.
think it's even
It's
far
impossible,
right.
John. You can't organize.
It's the
You can't
libs.
organize like 12 states
You can't organize two
Like
you can't organize two goddamn towns in this county to
into
do anything
defrauding an
together.
election.
And guess what? If there's election fraud, there is something you could do about it. You could take it to court, which it went 86 times.
After they-
86 cases were filed about election fraud,
At the
John.
Four Seasons.
Do you know how many
landscape.
were won by the people saying there was fraud?
0.
And do you know how many judges were appointed by Donald J. Trump that voted against the election fraud case that was presented to them?
I mean, that
But you know what that means?
Many.
You know how they respond to that? Deep state.
Deep state.
they're all
what
behind it.
Deep state.
Well, I mean, maybe that's the answer, right? To my question, if you believe that there was a pervasive election fraud throughout the country in state by state by state, even though each county in each state runs their election independently of the other, then you have to believe in deep state. That's the only way you can say there was this.
You guys spent 4 years saying Trump won this election because of Russian collusion. How much
I never
money?
said that.
Listen,
We
hold
didn't.
on,
No,
hold
we
on.
didn't.
No,
how
not
much
true.
money, how much time, how much resources were spent investigating that BS? And you guys now,
Separate issue.
you guys now. Oh, wait. This is we spent way too long investigating this election.
John, Russian collusion. Nobody said that votes were fraudulent. No one said that. It's a different issue.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
You're saying it's stolen one way or the
No,
other.
I'm not. I never said this 2016 election was stolen. I just I never said the vote count wasn't accurate.
And when you say
No,
things like
Trump
that,
won the election in 2016.
that's like saying you
He
guys
won.
spent 8 years looking at Obama's birth certificate. So I mean, don't pretend politics like that aren't played across the board on both sides.
So
I didn't say that.
Let's go back to Liz Cheney.
One real
getting
one. See, that's what happens at 7:30 in the morning.
When the
All I know is my mattress
when the
is
mattress
here, so
comes
I'm
early.
fine.
This is
I'm
dark
feeling
roast
good.
coffee.
John's
I'm ready
going
to go.
back home and
Did
taking
you
a
guys
big
eat
nap.
like nails with whiskey for breakfast? Like,
Listen,
what is going
I was-
on?
I
John
got a
started out pissed
Hold
about
on.
the mattress.
I got
okay?
a text. I got a text from Phil last night saying I am coming at you hard tomorrow morning. He didn't give me specific details, but I know now it's about the stolen election.
All right. So I want to talk a
didn't even know
minute
we were
about.
going there.
I want to talk about Trump and the collusion and all that. So when the Senate finished, they said there was in fact Russian impact on the election.
Yeah, they spent what 150 grand on social media ads. That really swayed the election, Matt.
Well, 150 grand. Well, I'm not even going to
How's our
pretend.
left of center budget
I'm not
on
even going to
ads?
pretend like that was actual. I'm going to
$8?
say that there was a concerted effort. It was quite a strategy, and there was evidently enough of a buffer between the Trump campaign because they just said, well, we didn't know. I mean, that was the excuse. The court agreed. And so there was no proven collusion, but it didn't mean Russia didn't do it. But anyway, I never disputed that Trump won the election. He did.
Agreed.
You know, it got all those people upset. They're walking around with pussy hats on and walking down the street,
We
right?
haven't said that word. in a
That's the
while.
first time that we've
Number
said
one,
the
Matt,
P
you
word
read?
here.
There's the cash right there.
$6,000.
Yes.
Boom, that was for that.
So they're walking around with those hats on, and now the Republicans are walking around with those on the inside because they're sad.
If you're
because they
playing curse
lost.
word bingo, you can now check off pussy.
You can check off that word.
So, all right. So back to Liz Cheney,
Yeah.
and this kind of leads up to
And then
kind
I want
of
to
the
get
whole
into
thing.
Matt Gaetz. This is going to keep
yeah,
going.
speaking of needing a buffer,
Yeah.
So they kick her out, and so they find somebody who is less conservative.
But Matt, can we establish that the anchor of kicking her out was her remarks on the election?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
That she said that the election was not stolen,
Right.
that Trump lost, and
she-
that he perpetrated a big lie on the American public.
And that she said, for democracy's purposes, we have to move on and let's get back
which
to
is
business.
in a very adult and somebody who is well versed in the needs of government and the people and how that works. I would say that's taking the high road. Okay, now she's got to run and she's got to win in a year, and she's going to run in Wyoming.
Only
and
congressperson
and
from
you
Wyoming,
know what?
by the way.
I think she'll probably win again. Because
Whoa.
I think
I
when
wonder.
I don't know.
I think when you get down to brass tacks, the people of Wyoming are going to go, you know what? She protects us.
But
John-
can I
Not,
just,
and I think they're selfish enough up there where they're going to go, well, we want somebody to protect us. I'm not so worried about the fat orange guy.
I know we're going to move on, but just one thing. I want to hear this from John, okay? You see how he brought up the Arizona audit.
Yeah.
But yet they won't acknowledge that 86 court cases were brought forward and they
gone
all failed.
backwards.
Explain that to me, John. How Trump is still he just put out a statement. What was it, like 2 weeks
Phil.
ago? He
You
said
already
it was the big
answered your
lie.
question.
This will never go away. The election was stolen. But there is a process if there is fraud. That's what I think
Yes,
you
and
don't
there's
hear
a
about.
process going on now.
No,
And guess
one audit.
who
What
wrote
about
the
the process that
process?
happened right after the election?
What
This
about-
is why I get upset. Because
Phil.
they did file cases. They did say there was fraud. Every judge, including ones appointed by Trump, said there wasn't any evidence to prove fraud. So we have to move forward. But yet you're still here believing the orange guy saying...
Still here. When was the election? How many months
November
ago?
6th.
It was a
How
while
many,
ago.
how many months
5th,
was
I
that?
don't remember.
How many months?
5?
Yeah.
Okay,
Six,
5. How
six,
long
six,
did the
six.
Russian collusion
Oh,
investigation?
so that
Till-
justifies it?
No.
You-
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. What I'm
I'll
saying,
tell you when it-
What I'm saying is, why not just let these
It's
people
two different issues.
I'll
go? It's not two different.
is.
It
issues.
is. You're attacking our democracy.
The
The
Senate-
fabric of our
Get
democracy.
dude, you're hilarious.
The
Okay.
Now, let me ask you this.
Sure.
Let me ask a better question to John.
Attacking our
Let me
democracy.
ask Matt and John this. Okay, do you think that like the Cheney, Bush, Romney, wing of the Republican Party is on the way out, and that we're seeing a total transformation of the Republican Party? That's just
One
you
can
have
hope.
to be loyal to Trump, to the Trump nationalist populist viewpoint.
I don't think it's about being loyal to Trump. I
Well,
hope not.
I mean, John, I think we both just agreed that Liz Cheney's downfall was because she went against what Trump was putting out there about the election.
I hope it's a phase. I hope it moves on from. If it moves on from Trump, it still keeps moving towards more populist.
I mean, you have a guy like Matt Gaetz, who we're going to get into now. He went to Wyoming, right, and had a rally against Liz Cheney after she talked about the big lie, quote unquote, the big lie. So, I mean, you've got this whole split and splinter of the Republican Party between, I guess I want to call them maybe, I don't want to say traditional Republicans, or maybe more of the centrist Republicans from the 80s and 90s, I guess, maybe, versus the new Republican Party that is loyal to Donald Trump to a fault.
That's my garage band name, by the way.
Yeah.
Republicans from the 80s and 90s.
I don't think it's even. I don't think. Yes, it's a loyalty to Donald Trump.
Are they afraid of losing their power because if you're not loyal to Trump, you're going to get primaried?
I honestly believe it's a different. And this is John will love this. It ties into a different political strategy that people are taking on these days, which is don't worry about facts, don't worry about truth. Just say whatever it is that makes people happy. And you're, especially since gerrymandering has changed, politicians across the country, because now they only have to talk to a certain group of people that fit right in their little circle.
Well, and that goes for, it goes for both parties. I'm not going to sit
both
here
parties.
and say, like,
I agree with that.
Because here's what I can't stand about politics, right? I can't stand it, and this is, as a Democrat, I don't like it when bills go through Congress 235 to 0.
They're all like that now.
Or, where no Republicans vote for a bill, or when Republicans are in power and no Democrats vote for a bill.
That's every single one,
Well,
Kevin.
and that's what drives me crazy. We've gotten so far away from how government is supposed to work.
There's no compromise
anymore. That's what just
anymore.
drives me
There's
nuts.
no bipartisanship.
Which party and who within each party is going to take the step and say, we got to get back to business?
There are some out there.
They're in the huge minority at this point.
So when Liz Cheney just said, look, I mean, her message was, and I side with those people. I did before. My guy was Kasich to run. I think if he would have won,
nice Croatian boy,
he would have.
Ohio.
Well, I respect him because he was the governor of Ohio. He's a U.S. senator. When the last time the United States actually balanced the budget, he was in Congress. So when somebody says out loud, I think we should balance the budget, and has actually done it, I'm more likely to believe him than some real estate guy that says, I'm going to give you my taxes and balance the budget and whatever basically else you're asking for. And if the shit actually maybe works out, then I'll take credit for it. But when it doesn't, I'm going to move on to the next issue. So when I'm expecting results when I vote for a candidate. I am. I look at them. I see who they are. So, the case is, he's a rhino. Well, to me, that's somebody who understands compromise. And in my view, I think that's how government should work. Otherwise, then we can just dispense with the niceties and just say this. In the states that I can gerrymander, I'm going to attempt to gerrymander every goddamn seat into my pile. Well, I'm only going to do things that my people want, and I don't care what you say.
It's all about
I'm
power.
going to steamroll you every chance I can get. That's what's up.
Well, unfortunately, the Supreme Court has kind of upheld some gerrymandering cases and said it's a state political
issue.
process. Yeah, so I mean, that's not helping. I'm not saying they're right or wrong. I'm just saying it's not helping things because it gives people free reign, just like repeating the Voter Rights Act and repealing part of the Voter Rights Act from the 60s. Right, all of a sudden you see a lot of new, which have been characterized by some people on the left as voter suppression, legislation go through the South and throughout the country, and that's the problem. Is if you give folks that are going to say, I'm all about power one way or the other, the ability to do that, they're going to do it.
100%
of the
miss
time.
out
on compromise.
Gaetz is in trouble, by the way.
Yeah, let's talk about Gaetz. John, is Gaetz in trouble?
He'll be looking for a compromise.
Let me see where John
I
is
don't
on
know.
this. What?
No. Listen. This is the difference between Phil and I. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
So here's one example. So Trump sends out a press statement saying, they deleted the whole database in Arizona. Phil sends a tweet from some guy in Arizona that says, I'm looking at the database right now. Trump's lying. Phil says, John, what do you think about this? I said, I don't know. Time will tell.
All right,
true.
so what about
Phil,
Matt Gaetz?
that is absolutely
will time
true.
tell?
I said, hold on. I said, truth will prevail. But Phil is like, you got to pick a side right now. Like, why can't we just see how this plays out? The Gaetz thing's another example. I don't know if he's in trouble or not. What do you guys think?
Well,
first of all, he's passing
Time
up.
will tell.
Here's what I would say. When you have a close associate of yours plead guilty and part of the plea agreement is cooperation, at least I would say this, and I think Greenberg's lawyer said this, I am sure Matt Gaetz is not feeling very comfortable today. So, I mean, you got to wonder if Greenberg's going to roll on Gaetz, right? Wouldn't you think? This whole craziness about these underage girl parties, flying them around. I mean, who knows what's true and what's not? It'll come out. I agree with you. But I thought, John, we have an interesting clip from, and you said you haven't seen this.
I have not seen this yet.
This is Matt Gaetz with Tucker
But I have
Carlson.
a feeling it's not going to go in my favor.
Well, I don't know if it's in your. I mean, you're
Well,
not
that
saying you're in
depends if
favor.
you're-
Are you
that
in favor
depends-
of Matt Gaetz's craziness?
Well, no. I mean, if you're a Tucker Carlson fan, it is definitely in
I
your
agree.
favor.
If you're a Tucker
Well,
Carlson
I love
fan,
Tucker Carlson.
all right,
Well, then
so-
you'll feel really good about it.
He's one of the
'Cause
few
Tucker
people
Carlson's
saying anything
like-
sane these days.
Well,
Weekly defends himself.
He basically is like, Matt Gaetz, stay away from me. But
Because he
let's
asks
see
questions.
Okay, here we go.
Only know what I've read in the New York Times. I can say that actually you and I went to dinner about 2 years ago. Your wife was there, and I brought a friend of mine. You'll remember her. And she was actually threatened by the FBI, told that if she wouldn't cop to the fact that somehow I was involved in some pay-for-play scheme, that she could face trouble. And so I do believe that there are people at the Department of Justice who are trying to smear me.
I don't remember the woman you're speaking of or the context at all, honestly. But I
love
I love it.
I mean, Tucker's
Hamina,
like,
hamina.
don't bring me into this.
Hey,
your
whoa.
little ring of
Whoa,
fire.
whoa.
I saw the blood drain from his face for a second there. He was like, I cannot.
I'm sure he was trying to. He was like wondering where the fuck is this guy going.
He's probably thinking that wasn't
You
my
remember
wife with me.
the night we had
Matt?
the threesome? Yeah. You know, we all got together, threw our keys in the bowl. You remember that night, don't you, Tucker?
Throw your keys.
What?
I mean, I don't know. I just think. I mean, it's got to be pretty dicey there. Something's up, and it sounds like
He's
this.
in trouble.
It'd be, you know, Kevin. It'd be like if. Well, I don't think Kevin would be the perpetrator. You would, though.
Oh God.
So
Here we go.
Phil, let's just say Phil tells Kevin, "Hey, I'm going to take care of you," and then, you know, Phil's an industrious guy, and you know, Kevin's he's the caboose here at Left to Center, and
Usually
he's trying to
yes.
curry some favor with him, so he takes care of him, and then. You know, Phil gets caught in some nefarious shit.
That would never happen to Phil.
And
What, John?
this is the
Phil's
hypothetical.
straight as an arrow.
This is hypothetical
So
for all those people listening. And let's just say he gets caught. And he's like, I'm not built for prison. I'm not going, right? How can I extricate myself from this situation? And they say, hey, what about that Kevin? He's the caboose. He's a big shooter. What do you know about him? Well, he was with me the whole time.
Yeah.
And I took care of him.
Other prisoners will think I'm perfectly built for prison.
It's
by the way.
You've heard that before.
When I get in
when
there,
you're in the county jail,
like, this is the kid I've been waiting to show
There
up
he
in
is.
prison. Yes.
Got a pretty mouth.
Yes.
that goes back. I think he's heard that before, Lindsey.
Kevin, what is Gaetz looking at here? What's some of the
Well,
accusations going on?
I mean, I guess you just, from what I've read, John, you've got he was the associate is it Greenberg or Green? Yeah, Greenberg was looking at 33 federal counts. He was looking at decades in prison. Oh. Now, whether or not that means Gaetz is looking at that, I think that's a whole different story. I'm not going to sit here. I agree with you, John. You got to see what happens. But just knowing how this investigation is going, they're trying to put him in a corner. They're trying to get people that will put him in a corner.
But
which, by the way, John, that's not unusual, right? I mean, federal investigations are usually wide-ranging. They're as widespread as they can be, and they want to start figuring out where the bottom. You know, where how do we get to the bottom level?
And this whole thing started with the first dirtball
meaning
stealing
like
money.
Person number one.
Yeah, stealing money from his job, embezzling money. So that's where it starts.
Right,
Well,
he was a tax collector.
Yeah.
that was the job. First of all, I didn't know that was like a.
how
That was
do
an
you get
elected
that
official.
deal?
It was that back in the day.
One for the government.
Collect your
Well,
shillings.
this goes. Well, it
for
is
me?
Florida, John. We talked about Florida. Let's vote for
right.
our tax collector.
Who's the tax collector?
And then he was-
that guy seems honest.
Then he was taking the dough allegedly and using it for parties and illegal
Sure.
stuff and things
Wow.
like that.
And
I
it
mean,
was-
if you're the tax collector, you got some money.
Seems like you should be able to do that.
It wasn't just sex with underage girls too, but wasn't it crossing state lines, which we are familiar
we've
with?
Which
learned
is
in this area?
trafficking.
locally that
That's a
counts for
problem.
sex trafficking. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I think I don't think he's gonna do the old. I'm gonna try and continue this as long as I can continue it till he can maybe get to the end of his current cycle, and then as a result of deep state probes and outright lies, I need to focus on my personal life. And then 2
We'll see
weeks
what
later,
happens, though. I
and
don't
then
think
2
Gaetz
weeks
is doing
later,
that.
he's gonna get the fucking book thrown at him.
We'll
They'll be
see.
like, "Hey, pal, you're going to jail."
And the other weird thing is he threw some guy under the bus, a former U.S. attorney in Florida. basically saying, this is the guy who's coming after me and my family. And didn't he allege like a $25 million extortion scheme or something? It was
Whatever happened to that
right,
weird
John?
thing?
That was his first response.
Yeah, it was
I'd be
weird.
extorted for $25 million. Weird. I mean, it was the other dude's fault. I mean, I didn't know anything. Hey, Tucker, remember the time we were swinging?
No, so Gaetz acknowledged the investigation, but in the sense that it was an extortion investigation, right?
Correct. He kind of flipped it on everybody and said, no, I'm being extorted by the Department of Justice. I'm being extorted by these. Yeah, so that was weird.
The investigation started before Joe Biden was elected.
Agreed.
I don't think Gaetz is built for prison either, by the way.
He doesn't look to be.
No, I think he's
kind of like a party frat boy.
He's going to be in trouble.
Yeah,
that's my guess.
What do you think, Linz? Are you into Gaetz?
Am I into Gaetz?
Yes.
Definitely not.
He
has an unsettling gaze.
That sounds like a good title.
What did Lindsey
Are you into Gaetz?
An unsettling gaze.
That's the title of the show.
You got a guy accused of sex trafficking. You're like, hey, Lindsey, what do you think of this one?
Well,
would you swipe left?
Last Tuesday I brought up sex trafficking, so let's just make that a topic.
We were talking about BW3s.
This guy sucks, and I hate him.
I think somebody said the title of the episode should be "I Want My Dad Back."
It should be, because I said that you guys were like so loud for like 5 minutes straight, and I was like, I think I miss my father.
Wow.
You know what?
And she says that like I never thought I'd say that.
What's wrong with debating a little bit? What's wrong with
you guys get so sassy?
John's gotten Phil's got John really fired up.
I'm too nice. Like, I'm just sitting here just waiting for you guys to eviscerate each other, and I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm going to talk to my real friends in the chat.
What John was referring to when they were talking about the Arizona audit is the recorder from Arizona, who's a Republican, who just unseated the Democrat, came out and said Donald Trump is wrong. It's a lie. There was no election fraud here. So it was a Republican. This is what I don't understand. If a Republican says anything against Trump, they're no longer in the party. They're just out. It doesn't matter if it's Trump or not.
Trump step in line, get in line. Look what he did to the folks in Georgia. Look at he's gone after Kemp. He's gone after what's the Secretary of State's name, whatever that guy's name is.
And he gives them some silly nickname. He'll be like, the loser, the stupid. And all of a sudden, they all fall on a... It's like, oh, he called them stupid.
The stupid, John.
That's what they call him.
The stupid.
He makes up a nickname for everything. And like, to me, people who just don't have...
But I've enjoyed not having to deal with him on Twitter and every day.
Oh, for heaven's sake. It's fantastic.
Yeah, boy. But, hey, you know what? I would take a mean tweet over these high gas prices any day.
Oh,
because we know... I thought that was Russian interference, Russian hackers.
They're coming up with anything now.
Do you guys really love the state of things right now?
I do.
I was just reading an article about the chip shortage, the high inflation, the gas crisis.
What high? All right, hold on a minute.
As we wrap things up here.
No, this is going on for at least another hour.
Financially.
My mattress is already there. I can go on all day.
I mean, you kind of covered all the bags of the Tucker Carlson commentary about inflation and gas. And look, we can shut the economy back down and gas will go to, 50 cents. I mean, it's supply and demand. So let's cut the bullshit on that. And everybody knows that summertime, gas prices go up. It's a pretty cheap political thing that both parties take shots at people.
Every year.
I think the inflation discussion is legit.
I think
we need to make sure that doesn't happen. And it's kind of a good thing to have people walking around with money to spend. I think that's always a good thing. You just got to make sure you keep it in check and give people a reason to save money. And maybe you're increasing rates on T-bills so people save more shit and not having them at 0.05. I mean, there's people far smarter than me that can figure this shit out. They need to get to it.
Thanks, what do we do about inflation? What do we do about it?
I mean, it's a concern because there's a lot of money in the economy now, and you worry about prices going up. And I think, and that, by the way, that's a great topic because I want to hear what Mayor Tom has to say about that, about inflation, because I know he follows financial markets and the economy a lot more careful than I do. So we're going to get into that next week. John, before we wrap up, I want to do two things. One, could you put up the flyer? This just came up.
Yes.
So this is
huge news.
Yeah. So we've talked about the wonderful Franciscans that are going to close the one hospital they have in an urban
center,
socially and economically challenged area. They want to decrease it by 90%. They're going to do a $45 million investment, but most of it's for demolition.
Correct.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And the community is now speaking out. So this is a great flyer that just came out yesterday. I saw it, and it looks like there's a lot of people, community leaders, the mayor, Hammond Development Corporation want to save Franciscan Hammond. There's going to be a peaceful protest. starting Friday, May 21st at 4 p.m. That's this Friday at the Hammond Police Department, starting right out front of the police department, marching down Douglas, and ending at Franciscan Hammond. So if you'd like to support the community and support urban healthcare and support promoting the mission of the Franciscans and not the profit-driven part of this decision, please come out and show your support in the community. It's a big deal.
Hey, do you think Dad's going to call Antifa again?
I think he already did. John, what is it under on his phone?
Antifa on speed dial, man.
And BLM.
Don't even say that because we need Republicans and Democrats to show up.
This is one of those communities.
Bipartisan,
important.
So
yes.
non-political.
John? Yes?
100%.
Everybody,
The more I think about the Franciscan thing, it just doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't.
Oh, it makes perfect sense to me.
But I mean, why? Okay, so you have like a hospital, like community hospital.
No, Matt, I mean from a just logical standpoint.
From a PR standpoint, it's pretty tough.
It's tough.
Wow.
But, this is where, the Republican in me comes out. So when people are tax exempt, look, you have a certain responsibility for that. You file with the IRS. Mm-hmm. You're designated, either educational, religious, or there's a social
nonprofit. Yeah, right.
Right. Mm-hmm. So the government gives you a break because you're doing extra stuff that the normal business community doesn't do. So I just got to call into question how do you make that decision absent, that
mission.
Yeah. You're like, well, I mean, so what does the federal government say? We're like, hey, listen, this is great that you're making money, and I think the private sector tax-paying medical facilities would also like to be at I-65 and
sure
and love to
and
be able to buy land.
Michigan City,
and love to be on. In Dyer on US 30. I mean, those are great fucking locations, right?
Yeah,
they pay tax.
They do.
So what pisses me off about whoever, whether it's Catholics or Save the Trump or do the whatever, these nonprofit groups that don't fucking pay tax. I don't care what you say politically. Shut up or pay tax.
But I think they need to be taken to task when they make decisions that impact the communities that they're supposed to serve. I mean, and there was before I'll let you go on this, but let me say this. Yep.
There was a pretty deliberative discussion in Michigan City as well about what was going on with their hospital downtown Michigan City.
Yeah, they closed it and they moved it to the highway.
Right.
It's beautiful.
Fantastic.
But they reinvested in the community.
Well, that's actually not in Michigan City, but because they're tax exempt, it really doesn't matter where it goes, right?
John, the last thing I want to talk about is some nuns doing some great work, and that is at the Carmelite Home in East Chicago, and they had a tragic fire over the weekend. For those of you who don't know, the Carmelite Home has been in East Chicago on Griselli Boulevard in the harbor for over 100 years. There's an order of nuns that do great work with at-risk youth, especially girls, and they put them up here, and they had a terrible fire at St. Joseph's Carmelite Home in East Chicago. Phil, I know we all know a lot of board members there. Yep. We're all familiar with the work the nuns do there. They do God's work, and they do a great work for the community and for at-risk women especially. There's a GoFundMe account. It's already raised $40,000. Please go check this out. I know that Adrian Santos, one of this show's sponsors and the current North Township trustee, great North Township trustee, is working hard to help the recovery, and they need a lot of money to rebuild this facility. So please look at that, see what you can do to donate to St. Joseph's Carmelite Home.
They've made $2,000 in the last hour.
They did.
That's
that
good.
was
Awesome.
Quick.
Yeah, so keep them in your prayers and in forefront, because we need to rebuild that place. It's very, very important to the community.
They also need clothing donations of all sizes. So if you have if you don't want to have like a yard sale or something, just take your clothes over there. They could really use clothing, toiletries, food.
You can help in different ways than money, for sure.
Definitely.
I got an idea. Maybe the hospital people rebuild this in East Chicago for them. Just throwing it out there as maybe trying to mitigate some of the public beating you're going to get. Just like a PR idea, just throwing it out. Maybe take $10 million of the $45 you're going to use for demo.
$2 billion you got in the bank.
Right, and just go ahead and do that deal. I would do that. I mean, that's what I'd be trying to do.
I would sell the hospital to another hospital organization.
Wait, maybe we move the Carmelite Home over to there.
Bring it over.
Let's do it.
Or on a floor or two.
I want want to thank Matt Reardon for coming on. He's always boisterous. Thanks for the $40 donation.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Sure.
I also want to, of course, thank Phil Taillon. I think you said you were the locomotive today. Good luck with that when the mayor
He was
gets
a
back
very
in town.
aggressive locomotive.
Appreciate you coming in, and good job, by the way, last week when you and Jeff were in.
That was funny.
awesome.
We didn't get a chance to talk about
We
it.
talked early, but it was good.
Oh man, that was
funny. Really good.
I had a lot of laughs. John, I think one of the best parts of the show I like is just John laughing his ass off.
Yeah.
He's like,
That was, you want to talk, we forget, we tease John a bunch, but the reality is he is the best producer that Lockpod's ever had. So John, great job. But no, phenomenally.
You just beat me up for an hour and you're like, hey, great job.
nice work, kid.
But,
keep it up.
But I will say this.
Aces.
I wasn't your biggest beater-upper over here. I think
It wasn't beat up. It was a debate.
But no, John, great
debate.
production as always, and a phenomenal job with the game show. I mean, that was a
Thank you.
John Vesmar production. So good job, and of course the notorious Alan P. Thank you for filling in on the McDermott side for us today, and the Perosco side. Good luck with the asthma.
Thanks.
We just lost 4 more viewers.
This has been Lock. Yeah, I think
Something
you're right.
about asthma.
This has been Lockpod without the locomotive. He'll be back on Friday. Thanks for listening in. Don't forget to share and like us on all those platforms that Lindsey talked about.